Well, good afternoon, everyone, and I want to begin by acknowledging that we are meeting on the traditional and ancestral territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, the Ojibwa, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi. And I wanted to begin by saying what an amazing opportunity we had today to visit a quintessential Windsor company here. This is an incredible made in Windsor story, Ricoh International, a company that's been operating here in Windsor, Essex for close to 50 years. And it's a quintessential story. It's about a newcomer coming to Canada, setting up shop here, literally, in a small garage, starting with a very small company with a number of small tools 50 years ago. Steve Ricoh, of course, as the founder. In a company that has grown through important innovation, through important investments, has grown now to provide a job for close to 200 people in our community. It's an incredible story. And we got a chance today to tour Ricoh with Diane and with so many others here. And we just got a sense of the family, the closeness of Ricoh International, the incredible workers that are here, that have made this a true success story in Windsor, Essex. And I just wanted to say, before I introduce Diane and ask Diane to join me at the podium here, just wanted to say that, again, it's all about family, and that's the sense that you get here. And I've known Diane Ricoh now for well over 10 years. And not only is Ricoh International providing jobs for so many families here in Windsor, Essex, but also the giving back to the community. Giving back to the community in so many ways, including through your work, Diane, in the FIRST Robotics program, encouraging so many young people to enter the skilled trades, to enter science, technology, and engineering and mathematics fields, preparing the next generation of workers to pick up the mantle and carry on the legacy of your father and Ricoh International. So I wanted to say how incredibly honored and privileged it has been to take a tour of Ricoh International, to get to know some of the workers here. And without further ado, it is my absolute honor and privilege to introduce the President and CEO of Ricoh International, Diane Ricoh. Diane.
Thank you, Eric, for your very kind words. So when I was young, I remember asking my father about his journey to Canada and how he became a Canadian citizen. He told me that he was interviewed in a Red Cross refugee camp in Austria after leaving Hungary. At the end of his interview, the woman who he was speaking with said to him, "You are exactly the kind of person that Canada needs." And he spent his life proving her right. One of the ways that he did that was to start this company in 1976. All of us who have been part of the Ricoh International Group team over the years have continued that tradition of making significant contributions to Canada. Ricoh has been part of the Manufacturing and Technology Foundation of Windsor, Essex, and our products and services have helped companies that make automobiles, locomotives, power generation equipment, aerospace parts, medical equipment, glass for electronics equipment like Gorilla Glass, and even food. The work that we have done has shipped to the United States, to Mexico, other parts of Ontario, and a few other countries as well. We are proudly part of that manufacturing and production backbone that is so critical to North American and Canadian economic and political independence. Our automation equipment and precision machining services can help manufacturers and producers to thrive here in North America. Ricoh wants to be our customers' go-to supplier so that manufacturing and production remains sustainable here. It's important for us and for future generations too, as the pandemic has so clearly demonstrated. It has been my honor to host Chrystia Freeland, our Deputy Prime Minister, and Eric Kusmirchuk Did I? Yeah, close? Okay, good. The MP for Windsor-Tecumseh here at RICO International Group. On a personal level, Minister Freeland, I really want to thank you for having the courage to pursue and to hold political office. You are an inspiration to women across this country. And Eric, thank you for your long-standing support of technology here in Windsor, Essex, and your continued leadership and support for the area in your role as MP. I hope that you've both enjoyed meeting a few of our very, very amazing team and getting a glimpse into the interesting world of manufacturing and technology here at RICO International Group. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Diane. And you know, there's a saying: if you want to build right, build it in Windsor, Essex. And RICO International really embodies that principle and those values. If you want to build right, build it in Windsor, Essex. And now it gives me a distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you someone who has been a tireless champion for Windsor, Essex, has been a fighter for Windsor, Essex, and has been a friend to Windsor, Essex. And this is someone who has now visited Windsor 3 times in less than 2 years. And I can tell you that every time brings back our voices, our concerns, our messages, and the opportunities that we have here as a community, and brings those back to Ottawa. And I can tell you that when we were negotiating NAFTA a number of years ago, that tilted the auto manufacturing in North America in favor of workers here in Canada. It was Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland that was there leading the charge with Prime Minister Trudeau, making sure that we sign a fair NAFTA deal that tilts the favor back in the favor of Canadian workers, or the advantage back in the favor of Canadian workers. When we were facing the competition from our friends and neighbors in the United States with the Build Back Better bill, it was Deputy Prime Minister Freeland and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that made sure that they have the backs of Canadian workers and workers right here in Windsor, Essex, to make sure that we are included and not excluded from those provisions in the Build Back Better bill. And I remember a year ago when Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland was here, she mentioned that the transition to a green economy is going to take a massive investment from the federal government and also from the private sector. And a year later, we were celebrating the largest automotive investment in the history of Canada, right here down the road at the Stellantis battery plant that we now see under construction on Banwell and EC Row. And so it really is my honor, my absolute privilege to again introduce our champion, our ally, our fighter, and our friend, Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland. Thank you, Chrystia.
I'm going to have to give you a hug. Thank you very much. I think it's a little bit unfair that Diane didn't get that little step also. You don't need it, Eric, but... well, look, let me just start by saying, Eric, thank you very, very much for those nice words. But above all, Diane, and to the people here at RICO International, thank you very much for the time you shared with me today, including taking a break from playing cards over lunch, to talk to me about the amazing work you do. I want to say to you, Diane, thanks for the nice things you said about me, but in my view, real courage is the courage people like your father showed and show every day in leaving repressive regimes and doing the very brave thing of starting a new life in Canada. And your father is such a great example of a person who came here and, exactly as you said, built something really, really wonderful. And thank you so much for continuing to build on his work. And I really do want to thank everyone who took the time to talk to me today. It was so inspiring to see the work you are doing to see the way you are embracing the future, to see the way you are embracing automation, to see the way that you are building the machines that companies around the world are going to use. I am so proud that you're doing that here in Canada. And it is really heartwarming to see that you're doing it in a really mutually supportive community. So thanks a lot. Okay, so let me begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations. As Eric said, I love coming to Windsor. You guys built the Canadian economy of the 20th century. You are building the Canadian economy of the 21st century, and I'm always inspired and energized watching you do it. And you guys tell me, you give me more assignments, so that's useful too. And I am especially glad to be here at RICO International for a whole bunch of reasons, but I do want to acknowledge Diane's role as a woman leader, a real Canadian woman business leader. We need more of them, and Diane sets a great example for our whole country. Windsor is home to one of the most important border crossings in the world, and businesses here, like RICO, are essential to the Canadian and, as Diane pointed out, North American economy. Having had the chance to tour this great facility and talk to a lot of people here, one of the things I was really struck by was the pride that people working here quite rightly take in your work. The work that you do and the problems that you solve are hard. And this is the kind of work that our economy really depends on. So thank you, Diane, and thank you, Team RICO, for your warm welcome, and above all, for everything you do every single day. I'm really glad that the federal government has been able to support your work over the past few years. We're going to continue to do that, and please keep on giving me assignments. You can call me directly now that we're friends, or you can just tell Eric, and I can assure you he is very persistent in giving me assignments. C'est le savoir-faire et l'innovation des entreprises comme RICO qui vont aider notre économie à croître et créer de bons emplois pour encore longtemps. Toutefois, avant de parler de ce que nous devons faire pour bâtir notre économie du XXIe siècle, je tiens à souligner quelques points importants concernant l'économie canadienne aujourd'hui. À l'échelle mondiale, nous faisons certainement face à des vents contraires. L'économie mondiale est en ralentissement et les taux d'intérêt et l'inflation sont élevés partout dans le monde. De plus, tout le monde doit composer avec les répercussions de l'invasion illégale de l'Ukraine par la Russie et les conséquences difficilement prévisibles de la réouverture économique de la Chine. So, these are challenging times in the global economy and times of great uncertainty. And I know the people here at RICO are intimately familiar with that in the decisions you have to take every day. Fortunately, Canada is operating from a position of fundamental economic strength in this uncertain global environment. The IMF is predicting that Canada will see the second fastest economic growth in the G7, both this year and next year. Our economy added almost 70,000 jobs in December, and our unemployment rate is at 5%, close to our record low. Canada has recovered 121% of the jobs lost to COVID, compared to just 106% in the United States. In December, Canada's labour force participation rate rose to a record high of 80% for people between 15 and 64, and that compares to just 74% in the United States. And supported by our national system of early learning and childcare, introduced by our government, That labor force participation rate includes a record high of 85% participation for working age women, and that compares to just 76% in the United States. I am so proud of that number. When we brought in the National Program of Early Learning and Childcare, we said this was going to be good for families. This was going to make life more affordable for Canadian families. It was going to create opportunities for women. We also said it was going to drive economic growth, and we're already seeing that reflected in the numbers. All of this means that in communities big and small across Canada, Canadians are able to find good jobs and the stability and prosperity for their family that comes with them. In fact, more Canadians have good jobs today than ever before. There is no country in the world that is better placed to navigate the global economic slowdown than Canada. And I very much believe that the next few years are going to be critical to the Canadian economy for a generation to come, for a century to come. We are today at the brink of a once-in-a-generation opportunity to build the industrial Canadian economy of the 21st century. And you guys are an essential part of it, so thank you. The global net zero transition is the most significant economic transformation since the Industrial Revolution itself. And at the same time, our democratic partners are seeking to shift their economic dependence away from dictatorships and towards democracies like our own. Whether it is in critical minerals or batteries or EVs that will be built in places like Windsor, it is absolutely essential that Canada seize the historic opportunities that these global shifts represent. That will be one of our government's primary focuses this year. And we can't do it alone. This is a time when it is important for the federal government to be fiscally responsible. And as Finance Minister, I definitely recognize that our ability to spend is not infinite. So, as I told my provincial and territorial counterparts at the Finance Ministers' meeting in Toronto on Friday, we are counting on the provinces, very much including Ontario, to invest alongside us to create more good jobs and build a thriving 21st century Canadian economy. That is critical to the Canadian economy and to the Ontario economy, and it's critical to a great place like Windsor. We have before us a generational opportunity. If we make smart investments today, we can build an economy that works for everyone here in Windsor and from coast to coast to coast. Where Windsor helps build the next generation of vehicles that have powered our economy for more than a century and will drive our economy in the 21st century. And where everyone is able to roll up their sleeves and earn a good living and buy a house with a good middle-class job. Today, tomorrow, and for generations to come. So thank you very much, everyone. You have really helped me to see how the future is being built. I'm grateful to you, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
We'll now take questions from the media. You can use, questions from media, you can use this microphone, and I'll just ask that you give your first name and outlet before asking the question. So one question, one follow-up. Sure. I'm scared it's gonna make a sound. Hi there. Am I getting too close, or? I think it's gonna be right.
Hi, Minister. I'm Jennifer LaGrassa with CBC Windsor. Thanks for taking, sorry.
Name?
Jennifer LaGrassa.
Jennifer.
Yeah,
okay, hi,
with
Jennifer.
CBC. Hi. Thanks for taking questions today. So Windsor right now has one of the highest unemployment rates in large Canadian cities during a time of very high inflation. So there's a lot of talk that the EV auto sector will lead to fewer jobs, so more people potentially being out of work here locally. How will the government ensure that workers here are part of the future auto industry and that people who are currently employed stay working in the sector?
I think that is a great question, and it is something that our government is very focused on, that Eric is very focused on. I am very aware of the role that Windsor has played in the Canadian economy of the past century. It would be absolutely fair to say that Windsor was one of the most important engines of the modern industrial Canadian economy of the past generation. And what our government is absolutely committed to is to ensure that Windsor and Canada have our fair share, I would say more than our fair share, in the industrial economy of the 21st century. How are we going to do that? By investing aggressively in the clean economy of the 21st century. You've already seen that with the investments our government has made in battery manufacturing in Canada, in EVs, and you are going to see more investments to come. That is going to be one of the focuses of the budget. But let me also say there are two more reasons I am confident that these investments will be successful. The first is, and Diane alluded to this, Canada has a very powerful global strategic and geopolitical advantage, and that is our privileged trading relationship with the United States. That NAFTA relationship has always been important to Canada, and as Eric pointed out, a reason that we fought so hard to maintain our trade access to the U.S. during the trade negotiations was we recognized how important it was. I believe that today, that privileged economic partnership with the United States is more important than ever. Diane pointed to the increased premium being placed right now on economic resiliency. And we're seeing that from the U.S. administration. We're seeing it from our democratic partners around the world. Democracies want to be dependent on other democracies. They don't want their supply chains to be vulnerable to the whims of authoritarian regimes. And that is a huge advantage for Canada when it comes to ensuring we have our share of the 21st century economy. And I want to promise you that our government is working very, very hard to seize that opportunity. But the second reason that I'm really, really confident that we are going to be successful is, frankly, the people I met today. Canadians are the most educated people in the OECD. And that is not just a proud Canadian bragging. That is OECD statistics. We have the smartest, best educated people in the world. I met some of them today. Innovative, ambitious, hardworking, able to work as a team. And that is what has been the backbone of Windsor's past, and that is what is going to create Windsor's future.
Will there be extra money for health transfers in the upcoming budget over and above the anticipated increase in the CHT, or will provinces have to wait until next fiscal year before they start getting extra cash?
Okay, so as the Prime Minister has said, we will be having a big meeting in Ottawa today, a First Minister's meeting between the Prime Minister and the Premiers of provinces and territories. I am certainly not going to steal the Prime Minister's thunder ahead of that meeting, but as the Prime Minister has said, he will put forward the government's position tomorrow. We recognize that our healthcare system is fundamental to the health of Canadians and to the health of Canadian communities, Canadian families, Canadian societies. And we recognize that there do need to be investments in our healthcare system. We committed to that in our campaign platform, and we are going to meet those commitments. We're going to keep our promises. The Prime Minister will have more to say tomorrow.
We're on the anniversary of the Freedom Convoy that shut down the Ambassador Bridge, and one of the calls that came out following that was the need for a meeting to decide who's responsible for what, with various levels of government all having to play a role in the flow of trade to the busiest crossing in North America. Yet it doesn't seem like a meeting's taken place to decide when you have a municipal police force handling a municipal road leading to a federally regulated crossing and a provincial highway involved. Why has there been no meeting to kind of sort that out, who's responsible for what, to ensure something like that doesn't happen again? Or if it does, who's handling what?
So thanks for the question. And our government collectively, and I personally, am very aware of the hardship that illegal blockade imposed on people here in Windsor, in their family lives, in the economic lives, and in the real threat that posed to the future of this community. I want to assure people, Eric and I talked about it a lot while it was happening, and one of the things I very much had in my mind as our government carefully chose what we needed to do was Windsor. I know that you guys are at the heart of our trading relationship with the United States. It's a relationship that matters to our whole country, to our whole economy, but you guys feel the pain first. That's why we were glad to be able to support the City of Windsor with some extra money to help defray the immediate local costs that illegal blockade imposed. I want to say to everybody here, that illegal blockade was a threat to Canada's economic well-being. It was a threat to our reputation as a reliable trading partner and as a reliable investment destination. It was a threat to the jobs of each person here. You guys don't need me to tell you that. The business that you do depends so much on the reliability and strength of that relationship. The decision that our government took was a really serious one. It was a decision that wasn't easy to take. But looking at everybody here, I want to tell you that it was the right thing to do. And what we can say, what you can say to your customers, to your trading partners who depend on you being able to get things across the bridge, is our government, all our levels of government, are able to act together and to maintain Canada's access to world markets. That's what we did.
Just in terms of, we had the big announcement with the EV battery plant, we got it, it's coming, but now there seems to be a real competition for all those extra businesses, investments that go along with that to support it. What is the federal government going to do coming to the table to make sure all the trips that are going on to try and bring all those feeder plants, what, I guess, financial incentives will be there to ensure Windsor-Essex gets some of those, that they stay here and don't go a little over the border or somewhere else outside this region?
So I'm not going to make any specific announcements about that today, but I do want to assure everyone here that we are really, really focused on ensuring that just as Windsor has been central to the automotive economy of the 20th century, Windsor must and will be central to the automotive electric vehicle economy of the 21st century. And we understand, 2023 is going to be a decisive year in the building of that economy. It's a year of real opportunity for Canada, for Windsor. We need to seize that opportunity, and we're determined to do that. We will do that. As I also said, it is important for provinces across the country to be a partner for the federal government as we build that 21st century industrial economy across the country.
Next question.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister, for taking our questions today. I'm Michelle Molesky from CTV Windsor. My question I ask with full respect. I don't mean any disrespect by this.
Uh-oh, that's always a dangerous beginning.
Other than obviously highlighting and bringing awareness to company that Windsor's very proud of, what was the purpose of this visit here today? Obviously no real announcements happening today, but what was the reason that you came to Windsor today?
Well, you gave the beginning of the answer in your question. Ricoh is a company that people in Windsor know about and are proud of. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a boost, a little bit of the spotlight and the cameras and the reporters that comes with me being here. I'm also really glad to support a company that is led by a woman. There aren't that many in this sector, and I do think it's important for women leaders to support each other. So I sort of freely and openly admit that was an extra little asterisk and incentive. But I'll tell you the biggest reason, and that is that I really meant what I said. I really believe that the single biggest question for Canada today is seizing our share of the 21st century industrial economy. We had our share in the 20th century, and we have to be there and get our piece of the 21st century industrial economy. Now, I really believe we have all the ingredients to be successful. We have brilliant, hardworking Canadians. They are here around us. We have critical minerals and metals. We have strong trading relationships. We are a reliable and safe rule of law democracy. So we have all of these things. But I also know there are lots of countries in the world engaged in this same effort. And I think the big decisions on allocation of capital around the world are going to be made this year. It's something I'm very focused on. I used to be a reporter like you guys, and I believe very strongly that the way to make the best decisions is to talk to the people, metaphorically speaking, at the coal face. Maybe since we're here, I should say at the robotics face. And really talking to the people who work here, understanding what they like about their jobs, the challenges in their lives, to understand the opportunities that this company faces, the great deals it's doing around the world, the challenges that the people here see. That is really, really helpful for me in thinking about how, in the upcoming budget, we support companies like Ricoh, and by supporting companies like Ricoh and the people who work at companies like Ricoh, support everybody here, support this company, and in doing that, support Canada as we build that clean economy for the 21st century. So that's why I was here. And thanks, guys. I learned a lot from you. I really did.
Hi, Maureen with Blackbird News. You said that every time you come here, you get new assignments from people, from Eric, be it that. What are you taking back to Ottawa today? What did you hear? What's new? What assignments did you get this time around?
I would say probably 3. First was a kind of confirmation of the conviction I came here with, which is Canada can win in this clean industrial economy of the 21st century race. Like, we can do it. We're in a really good position, and we have to do it. You know, that's what this company, this community, our country rely on. So I sort of had my spine stiffened, and the courage of my convictions about the need to do that strengthened. So that was number 1. Number 2, a lot of people spoke about how we need to do an even better job in helping to train young people to work in places like this. Think more about apprenticeships, think more about helping young Canadians to see how the jobs here are really great jobs. And that's something that I've heard in manufacturing companies and also in construction, actually, across the country. So I see people nodding. I heard you guys will keep on trying to do more. And then the third thing, which is also something that I have been hearing across the country, is concerns about affordable housing.
Thank you very much, everyone. That concludes today's press conference.
Okay, thank you very much.